I stood there in the hotel lobby, watching as my own children walked away, laughing, toward the elevator, never once looking back. Monica, my daughter-in-law, had said something about finally being free of the burden. And everyone had laughed. They didn't know I had heard every word. They didn't know I had paid every penny of that reservation with the money I had saved for 8 months, selling my cakes on Sundays at the square and saving every coin in a tin can I hid behind the beans. They also didn't know what I was about to do. But let's go back to the beginning because it all started 3 weeks before, one Tuesday afternoon, when the sun was gently entering through the window of my kitchen. I was preparing the afternoon coffee, as I did every day since I became a widow 4 years ago, when my phone rang. It was Raphael, my oldest son, with that sweet voice he used when he needed something. "Mom, I have a wonderful idea," he said. And I felt that little tickle in my chest that always came when my children included me in their plans. "How about we do a family trip for the end of the year, all together like the old times?" His voice sounded so excited that I almost saw his smile through the phone. I found a beautiful hotel by the coast, pools, restaurants, activities for the kids. "It will be perfect, Mom." I put the coffee pot down on the table, feeling my eyes fill with tears of joy. It had been so long since I felt included, since I was invited to anything other than family dinners where I stayed silent while they talked about their jobs, their travels, their plans. I was always the one serving, the one clearing the plates, the one who stayed in the kitchen while everyone else went to the living room. "That sounds wonderful, son," I replied, trying not to let my voice crack. "When would it be?" "The first week of January." 7 days, Mom. Imagine all of us, me, Monica, Diego, and Anna, the grandkids, and you, of course, all together as one big united family. He paused and added, "There's just one small detail, Mom. The hotel requires that only one person makes the reservation. Could you take care of it? We'll transfer the money to you later." Of course, it was always like that. I was the one who faced everything. I was the one who gave the guarantee. I handled the paperwork while they enjoyed themselves, but this time I didn't mind. It was an opportunity to do something special for my family, to show them how much I love them. "Of course, son. Count on me." That same afternoon, I called the hotel. The receptionist had a kind and professional voice. "Golden Palms Hotel. How can I help you?" "I'd like to make a reservation for 12 people," I said, feeling my heart race. I had never organized anything this big. "Perfect, ma'am. For what dates?" "From January 2nd to 9th. I heard the typing on her computer. "All right. That would be 5 family suites, full board, access to all activities. The total would be $4,200. My breath caught in my throat. $4,200. My pension was $500 a month. I had saved $800 selling cakes for 8 months. I didn't have enough. "Ma'am, are you still there?" Yes, I stammered. "Sorry, can I confirm the reservation and pay later?" "We need a 50% deposit to confirm, ma'am." $2,100. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat in my rocking chair, calculating and recalculating. I had $18 in cash, some savings I had set aside for emergencies, and my wedding ring. The ring my husband had given me 42 years ago with a small diamond that sparkled when the light hit it. The next day, I went to the downtown jewelry store. Mr. Joaquin, the owner, was an elderly man who knew the whole family. "Estella, how are you?" "I'm good, Joaquin. I came to ask how much you'd give me for this ring." He examined it with his magnifying glass, turning it between his wrinkled fingers. "It's a good piece, Estella. I can give you $800. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. $800 for 42 years of marriage. But I thought of Raphael's smile, the possibility of having my entire family together, happy. Deal. With the money from the ring and my savings, I called the hotel that same afternoon and paid the deposit. The reservation was confirmed in my name with my credit card as a guarantee, 5 family suites, 12 people, 7 days of full board. In the following weeks, every time I spoke with Raphael or Diego, they asked about the details of the trip, but never mentioned the money. "We'll talk about that later," they said. "The important thing is that we're all together." I continued selling cakes on Sundays, doing sewing jobs for the neighbors, saving every penny I could to make the final payment. My house grew colder because I turned down the heating, I ate less meat, I walked instead of taking the bus, all for that perfect family trip. 3 days before the trip, Raphael called me excited. Mom, you can't imagine how much we're looking forward to these days. The kids are super excited. Monica has already packed everything. How are the hotel preparations going? All set, son. Just the final payment left. Oh, right. Well, we'll take care of that when we get there. The important thing is that we have fun. The night before the trip, I finished paying the full reservation with my credit card, $200. All my wedding ring, all my savings, plus the debt left on the card. But it was worth it. I was going to have 7 perfect days with my family. I had no idea what I was about to discover. On the morning of the trip, I woke up before dawn. I had packed my suitcase the night before, folding each piece of clothing carefully, choosing my best dresses, the pearl necklace that belonged to my mother, the comfortable shoes for walking on the beach. I felt like a child before Christmas. It had been so long since I had something to look forward to with such excitement. Raphael would pick me up at 7 a.m. We had agreed to travel all together in 2 cars to the hotel, which was 3 hours away. I put on my light blue dress, the one Diego always said made me look younger, and I carefully applied my makeup. I wanted to look good for the family photos we would surely take. At 7:30, Raphael honked the horn from the street. I grabbed my suitcase, locked the house, and walked towards the car with a smile I couldn't wipe off my face. In the passenger seat was Monica, my daughter-in-law, checking her phone. In the back, my 2 youngest grandchildren were playing with a tablet. "Good morning, family," I said as I got into the car, but only the kids responded with a "Hi, Grandma." Distracted, Monica looked up for just a second and muttered something like a greeting. Raphael started the engine. "Are you all ready for the perfect family vacation?" I asked, trying to start a cheerful conversation. "Yes, Mom," Raphael replied. But his voice sounded tired. "Monica, did you text Anna so she can follow us? They're probably on their way. Diego drives like a turtle, so we'll probably get there before them," Monica responded without looking up from her phone. During the trip, I tried several times to talk. I asked Raphael about his job, about their plans for the days at the hotel, about whether the kids knew how to swim. The responses were monosyllables, sighs, half smiles that faded quickly. Monica kept texting, and occasionally she laughed at something on her screen. "That's funny," I asked once, trying to include myself in whatever entertained her so much. "It's my friend's WhatsApp group," she replied without looking at me. "Things you wouldn't understand." I fell silent after that, staring out the window at the passing fields, the small houses, the trees beginning to change color. I thought about all the cakes I had sold to pay for this trip, the nights I had stayed awake sewing to earn a few extra pesos from my wedding ring, which was now locked in a jewelry store's safe. When we arrived at the hotel, I gasped. It was more beautiful than I had imagined from the photos online. Tall palm trees swaying with the sea breeze. Perfectly manicured gardens with flowers in every color, a white facade glowing under the midday sun. The entrance had water fountains that created a relaxing sound, and the ocean could be heard in the distance. "What a beautiful place," I exclaimed, feeling my chest swell with joy. "I can't believe we're here." The children jumped out of the car excited, running toward the entrance. Raphael and Monica began unloading the luggage from the trunk. At that moment, the second car with Diego, Anna, and the rest of the family arrived. Mariana, my 17-year-old granddaughter, was the only one who came over to hug me. "Grandma, this place is incredible," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Did you see the pool? It's huge, and they say they have night activities and themed restaurants." "I know, my love. It's going to be a wonderful week," I replied, stroking her hair. At least someone shared my enthusiasm. We all entered the lobby, and I walked toward the reception desk. It was a spacious, elegant area with marble floors that reflected the light from the crystal chandeliers, white leather sofas, and large tropical plants in pots. The air smelled of fresh flowers and sea breeze. "Good morning," I said to the receptionist, a young woman with a friendly smile. "I have a reservation under the name Estela Morales." She typed on her computer and blushed. "Of course, Mrs. Morales. We were expecting you." 5 family suites, 7 nights, full board for 12 people. Everything is in order. While she prepared the keys and explained the hotel's services, I heard my children talking softly behind me. 5 suites, I heard Diego whisper to Rafael. I thought you said it would be simpler. Mom organized everything, Rafael replied. We'll figure out how to divide the costs later. The receptionist handed me the keys on elegant palm-shaped keychains. The suites are on the 3rd floor, all with ocean views. Breakfast is served from 6 to 10 a.m. in the main restaurant. Lunch from 12 to 3 p.m. and dinner from 6 to 10 p.m. You also have full access to the spa, pools, sports activities, and nightly entertainment. How wonderful, I exclaimed, feeling my heart race with excitement. Did you hear that, guys? We have access to everything. But when I turned to share my joy with the family, I was frozen. No one was there. Rafael, Diego, Monica, Anna, and all the grandchildren had disappeared. Only Mariana remained, looking at me with a strange expression on her face. Where is everyone? I asked, feeling my stomach drop. They went to the elevators, she replied, biting her lower lip. Dad said they were going to settle into the rooms and that we'd meet up later, without waiting for me, without the keys. Mariana didn't respond, but I saw in her eyes that there was something she wasn't telling me. We walked toward the elevator area, but there was no sign of the family. We went up to the 3rd floor and walked down the hall looking for them, but it was as if they had evaporated. Mariana, what's going on here? I asked, feeling my voice tremble. She sighed and took out her phone. Grandma, there's something you need to know. They're in the family WhatsApp group, she said, stopping as if it were hard for her to continue. What WhatsApp group? The one that Dad, Uncle Rafael, Mom, and Aunt Monica made. It's called Vacation Without Drama. Her voice grew quieter. Grandma, they didn't want you to come on this trip. I felt like the marble floor moved beneath my feet. What do you mean they didn't want me to come? But Rafael invited me. He asked me to organize everything. Mariana showed me her phone with trembling hands. On the screen, I could see the WhatsApp group. The most recent messages said things that shattered my heart into pieces. We've arrived. The old woman took care of everything as usual. Perfect. Now, we can enjoy ourselves without her watching over us all the time. Did you see how excited she was at reception? How embarrassing. Well, at least she's good for something. Let her stay in her room watching TV while we make the most of it. The words blurred in front of my eyes. I felt my eyes fill with tears, my throat tighten. $200. My wedding ring. 8 months of work. All for them to enjoy without drama, without me. Grandma? Mariana's voice sounded very distant. Grandma, are you okay? No, I wasn't okay, but I wasn't done yet. I stood there in the hotel hallway with the 5 keys hanging from my trembling fingers while Mariana looked at me with tears in her eyes. The WhatsApp messages kept appearing on her phone, each one a direct stab to the heart. I hope she doesn't get difficult about the family meals, Monica had written. Don't worry, if she gets unbearable, we'll just tell her she's tired and needs to rest. The important thing is that the kids enjoy it. She can do her own thing. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. The hallway smelled of cleanliness and fresh flowers, but all I could taste was the bitter sting of humiliation in my mouth. For 40 years, I had raised these children. I had sacrificed my dreams for theirs. I had sold my wedding ring to give them this perfect vacation. And this was how they repaid me. Mariana, I said in a voice I didn't even recognize. Since when has that group existed? She looked at her phone, scrolling up to see older messages. Since Uncle Rafael proposed the trip, Grandma. Look, it says here that he created it the same day he called you. My granddaughter showed me the screen. There it was. Clear as day. Group created on December 12th by Rafael Morales. The same day my son had called me with his sweet voice to invite me on the family vacation of my dreams. I kept reading the older messages, each one worse than the last. I already spoke with Mom. She bought the whole story. She's sure she'll be able to organize it. You know how she is with technology. Doesn't matter. If she messes up, we'll fix it. The important thing is that she pays. Great. Free vacation and no family drama. Just make sure there are no activities with everyone together, just separate. The words blurred before my eyes as the tears I couldn't hold back began to fall. But there was more. Recent messages that made me understand the full extent of their betrayal. Did you confirm that the hotel allows changes to the reservation? Yes, Diego asked at reception. Since it's under Mom's name, she can make modifications. Perfect. Tomorrow we'll convince her to transfer the rooms to our names, just in case. And on the last day, we'll tell her there was a mistake with the bill and that the hotel needs someone else to take care of the payment. There it was. Not only had they planned to ignore me during the trip, but they also planned to leave me with the full debt in the end. They had used me to organize and pay for their perfect vacation, and then intended to abandon me with the bill. Grandma, Mariana gently touched my arm. What are you going to do? That question echoed in my mind like a distant sound. What was I going to do? The Estella from before would have cried silently, would have swallowed the humiliation, would have pretended she hadn't seen anything. She would have spent the 7 days locked in her room, ordering room service so as not to disturb the family in the restaurants, watching TV while they enjoyed the pool, the spa, the nightly activities I had paid for. But something had changed within me. Maybe it was seeing my wedding ring disappear into the hands of the jeweler. Or maybe it was those 8 months of waking up before dawn to make cakes and sell them in the square. Maybe it was realizing that my own children saw me as a walking wallet, useful for paying and organizing, but a nuisance to include. I don't know yet, my love, I replied to Mariana, wiping my tears with the back of my hand. But I'm not going to stand here crying. We walked to my suite. It was beautiful, with a king-size bed covered in immaculate white sheets, a balcony with a direct view of the ocean, a marble bathroom with a deep bathtub, everything I had dreamed of during months of saving every penny. But now it felt empty, like a stage set for a play in which I was only the financier, not the protagonist. I sat on the bed and Mariana stood by the window, looking out at the beach, where I could already see some family members. Rafael and Diego were in the pool with their kids. Monica and Anna were having cocktails under an umbrella, all laughing and enjoying themselves as if nothing had happened. Do you know what hurts me the most? I said to Mariana. It's not the money, not even the lies. It's that I thought we were finally going to be a real family, that we were going to make beautiful memories together. Mariana turned around, and I saw that her eyes were red. Grandma, I tried to tell them it was wrong. When Dad added me to the group, I told them it wasn't fair to you, but they told me I didn't understand, that adults sometimes have to make hard decisions. Hard decisions. That's what I am to them. A hard decision. At that moment, my phone rang. It was a message from Rafael. Mom, we've settled in. We're going to have lunch at the beach restaurant. If you want, you can order room service. We'll see you at dinner. He didn't even invite me to lunch. He didn't even pretend they wanted my company. I got up from the bed and walked to the balcony. The ocean stretched endlessly before me. The waves gently lapped at the shore, and a warm breeze moved the white curtains of the room. It was exactly as I had imagined during all those months of sacrifice, but my family wasn't there to enjoy it with me. Mariana, I said without turning around. You knew I paid for all of this. How did you pay for it all? The full reservation, for $1,200. I sold your grandfather's wedding ring to pay the deposit. I heard her breath catch. Grandma, no, I didn't know. Your dad always said you'd divide the costs between everyone. Lie. I paid every penny, and they knew it. They knew I didn't have that money. They knew I had to make sacrifices, and still, they used me. I turned around and saw that Mariana was crying. Grandma, this is really bad. I have to tell my parents no. I interrupted her with a firmness that surprised me. You're not going to say anything. Not yet. But what are you going to do? I looked toward the beach one more time, where my family was enjoying the vacation I had given them without them knowing. I thought about all the times they had made me feel invisible, all the times they had treated me like just another piece of furniture in the house. Useful, but annoying. I'll think about it, I answered. And while I think, I'm going to act like I didn't see those messages, like I don't know anything. Why? For the first time in days, I smiled. It wasn't a joyful smile, but something colder, more calculated, because, my love, the best revenge is served cold, and I have a whole week to plan mine. That afternoon, I stayed in my room. I sat there on the couch next to the balcony, watching my family enjoy the beach. I had ordered room service, as Raphael had suggested, but the food remained untouched on the tray. I wasn't hungry. What I had was a clarity of mind that I hadn't felt in years. I pulled out my notebook, that little blue notebook where I recorded my daily expenses, and started writing down the details of the reservation first: dates, prices, confirmations. Then I added screenshots of the WhatsApp messages Mariana had shown me. Everything documented, everything recorded with the precision of someone who has learned that in life, you can only trust the paperwork. As I wrote, my phone kept ringing. Messages from the official family group, the one that did include my name, full of photos of them at the pool, in the restaurant, on the beach. What a beautiful place, Mom. The kids are so happy. Thanks for organizing everything. That message was like a slap disguised as affection, but messages from the secret group kept coming through as well, the ones Mariana forwarded to me from her room. Each one confirmed what I already knew. I was just a means to an end. The old lady is super quiet. Perfect. I hope she doesn't show up at dinner. The kids want to eat in peace. Tomorrow we'll ask her to give us the keys to the other rooms in case we need some privacy. Privacy. As if my presence were an invasion of their family intimacy. As if I wasn't their mother, their mother-in-law, their grandmother. Around 6 p.m., Mariana knocked on my door. She was dressed for dinner in a floral dress with her hair up. She looked beautiful, but her eyes still showed traces of the afternoon's tears. Grandma, are you going down to dinner? I don't know, my love. What do you think? She sat on the bed, nervously playing with her hands. I think you should go down, but not because they deserve it, but because you paid for that dinner, and you have every right to enjoy it. I smiled. My granddaughter was wiser than her family realized. You're right. I'm going down. I got ready carefully. I put on my black dress, the elegant one I had bought especially for this trip at a secondhand store, but it fit me perfectly. I did my makeup, put on my pearl earrings, and applied a bit of the perfume that had belonged to my mother. If I was going to face my family, I was going to do it looking impeccable. The main restaurant was spectacular. Tables with white tablecloths, lit candles, huge windows offering a view of the ocean, where the sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and pink. The kind of place I had dreamed of visiting for years, but never thought I could afford. When I arrived, my family was already seated at a large round table. Raphael saw me first and gestured for me to come closer, but his smile seemed forced. Mom, I'm so glad you came down. We already ordered the appetizers. I sat in the only empty chair, strategically placed with its back to the ocean view. A coincidence, of course. How was your afternoon, Estella? Asked Donna, my younger daughter-in-law, with that sweet voice she used when there were people around. Very peaceful, I replied, pouring myself some water from the pitcher. I rested, read a bit, and enjoyed the view from my balcony. That's nice, Monica said without lifting her eyes from the menu. We were at the pool all day. The kids didn't want to leave the water. They seemed to have had a lot of fun, I commented, watching my grandchildren, who were tanned and happy. At least they were genuinely enjoying the trip. During dinner, the conversation flowed as if nothing had happened. They talked about the spa, the activities planned for the next day, the perfect weather, how delicious the food was. I nodded, smiled at the right moments, made occasional comments, but inside, I was mentally taking notes of every detail. I noticed how Diego ordered the most expensive bottle of wine without consulting me, as if it were natural for me to pay. I noticed how Monica ordered 2 desserts to try and then only took a few bites of each. I noticed how Raphael told the kids to order whatever they wanted, no limits, because Grandma invited us all. But what hurt me the most was something that shattered my heart. When one of my grandchildren, little Tomas, 8 years old, asked me if tomorrow we could build sandcastles together. Monica immediately intervened. Sweetheart, Grandma is too tired to spend all day on the beach. You better play with your cousins. But I want to play with Grandma, insisted Tomas. Older adults need more rest, said Anna, patting him on the head. You'll have time to play with Grandma when we get home. Older adults, as if I were a relic in a museum, too fragile to participate in real life. I'm 65, not 90. I can build sandcastles just fine, I said, with a smile I hoped looked natural. I'd love to build sandcastles with you, Tomas. Tomorrow, after breakfast, how about that? I saw Monica and Anna exchange a quick glance. That's silent communication people who are used to manipulating situations share. Well, let's see how the weather is in the morning, Monica finally said. After dinner, as we walked back toward the elevators, I overheard Diego whispering to Anna. Tomorrow morning, we're going to the spa. Take the kids to the kiddie pool so they don't bother Mom. Tomorrow morning, the same time I had arranged to meet with Tomas to build sandcastles. How convenient. In the elevator, Raphael asked me, Mom, do you need help with anything? The hotel papers, the keys, anything like that. There it was. They were starting with the plan to take control of the reservation from me. No, son, everything's perfect. I've got it all under control. I just thought it might be easier if one of us handled the technical details, he said. So you don't have to worry about anything. I appreciate the offer, but it's really not necessary. I saw the frustration in his eyes for a fraction of a second before he forced a smile. When I got to my room, Mariana was already waiting for me, sitting in the hallway. How was dinner, Grandma? Educational, I replied, opening the door. Very educational. We entered, and she sat on the couch while I took off my shoes and placed my purse on the table. Grandma, I've been thinking all afternoon. What they're doing is really wrong, and I can't stay quiet. Mariana, listen to me. I know you have good intentions, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She nodded, though she looked confused. Good, then I want you to keep sending me the messages from the secret group, but also want you to act normal. I didn't let them know I knew anything. But why? Mariana asked. I sat in front of her and took her hands. They were soft and young, without the wrinkles and scars mine had after 65 years of work and sacrifice. Because, my love, when someone betrays you, the worst thing you can do is confront them immediately. The best thing is to let them keep thinking their plan is working while you prepare yours. Do you have a plan? I'm developing one. Mariana stayed silent for a moment and then asked, Grandma, have you ever felt something like this? Like this anger, this huge disappointment. I looked out at the balcony, where the full moon reflected on the ocean waves. It was a beautiful, romantic view, the kind I would have enjoyed with my husband if he had lived to see it with me. Only once, I replied. When your grandfather died and I realized I would have to face the rest of my life alone. But this time is different. Why? Because when your grandfather died, the pain was inevitable. It was part of life. But this was a choice. My children chose to hurt me, to use me, to betray me. And choices have consequences. That night, after Mariana went to her room, I stayed awake very late, not watching TV, not reading, but thinking, planning. For the first time in years, I felt powerful because I had something they didn't know I had: information. And as my husband used to say, information is power. Tomorrow, I would start using it. I woke up before dawn, just as I had for the past 8 months when I woke up early to make cakes and sell them. But this time it wasn't out of obligation, but rather a strange surge of energy I hadn't felt in years. I made myself coffee with the room's coffee machine and sat on the balcony to watch the sun rise over the ocean while I reviewed my notebook. At 7:30, my phone vibrated with a message from Mariana. It was a screenshot from the secret WhatsApp group sent just minutes before. Plan for today. Everyone to the spa at 9. The kids to the kiddie pool with the hotel's babysitter. Lunch at the beach restaurant without the old lady. If she asks, we'll say it was a spontaneous plan. Perfect. Don't forget to ask for the keys to the other rooms today. Any believable excuse? We'll say we need access in case of an emergency, or that the kids want to throw a surprise party in one of the suites. They couldn't even come up with an original lie, but what bothered me the most was the part about the babysitter. They had hired someone to take care of my grandchildren instead of asking me, their own grandmother, to be with them, as if I were a dangerous stranger, rather than the woman who had raised them when they were babies and their parents had to work. At 8 a.m., I went downstairs to the restaurant for breakfast. It was early, so there were only a few people. The place looked beautiful in the morning, with the golden sunlight pouring in through the large windows and the soft sound of the waves in the background. I sat at a table by the window and ordered coffee, fresh fruit, and scrambled eggs. While I ate, I watched the other families in the restaurant. An older couple laughing while sharing croissants, their wrinkled hands intertwined on the table. A young family where the parents fed a baby while the grandmother held the older child on her lap, telling stories that made him laugh. Real families, families that included each other, families where grandparents were an integral part, not a nuisance that had to be tolerated. At 9 a.m., I saw my family heading to the spa. Rafael, Diego, Monica, and Anna were walking together, talking animatedly, while the kids ran ahead, excited. None of them looked toward the restaurant where I was sitting. They didn't even ask if I had had breakfast or if I was okay. I slowly finished my coffee, savoring every sip. Afterward, I went up to my room and took out all the documents for the reservation that I had brought with me: hotel confirmation, payment receipts, a copy of my credit card, everything organized in a folder I had meticulously prepared. At 10:30, I went down to the reception. "Good morning, Mrs. Morales," the same receptionist from the day before greeted me. "How's your stay so far?" "Very good, thank you. I have a question. This reservation is entirely under my name and paid with my credit card, correct?" She checked her computer. "Yes, Mrs. Morales. Everything is registered under your name. Estela Morales. 5 suites for 7 nights, full board, all services included, fully paid. And if I wanted to make modifications to the reservation, would I have the authority to do so?" "Of course. As the person who made the reservation and paid for it, you have full control. Is there anything you would like to change?" "Not for now. I just wanted to confirm another question. Is it possible to add a security note to the account so that any changes would require my personal authorization and presence?" The receptionist looked at me curiously but nodded professionally. "Of course. Would you like me to add any specific instructions?" "Yes. I want it noted that I, Estela Morales, am the only person authorized to make changes to this reservation. No one else in my family can modify dates, services, or transfer the rooms to another name without my physical presence and identification." "Understood. I'll add it to the system immediately." While she typed, I observed the lobby. It was early, but there was already movement, guests heading to the beach, families planning their day, hotel staff attending to everyone with professional smiles. Everything seemed normal and perfect, but I knew that in just a few hours, when my family returned from the spa, they would try to execute their plan to take control from me. "All set, Mrs. Morales. Is there anything else I can assist you with?" "One more thing. What is the hotel's cancellation policy?" "It depends on the type of reservation. In your case, since you paid the full rate in advance, you can cancel up to 24 hours before the final checkout without a penalty. If you cancel later than that, 1 night's stay would be retained." "I understand." "And if I decided to shorten my stay, would I be refunded for the unused nights?" "Yes, Mrs. Morales. You would be refunded the cost of the remaining nights, minus any penalty, if applicable." "Perfect. Thank you for the information." I went up to my room with a strange feeling. For the first time in months, I felt in control of something. I wasn't the helpless old woman my children thought I was. She was the one in charge of the reservation, the one who had all the decision-making power, the one who had paid every penny. At 11:30, Mariana knocked on my door. She was agitated, her hair still damp from the pool's chlorine. "Grandma, I need to tell you something urgent." "What happened?" I asked. "I was at the kids' pool with my cousins when I overheard Dad talking on the phone. He was talking to someone from the bank." My blood froze. "The bank?" "Yes. He was asking about disputing a charge on the credit card. He mentioned something about a hotel and unauthorized expenses." Mariana sat on the bed, looking worried. "Grandma, I think they're going to say that you made charges without the family's permission." The room seemed to spin. Not only did they want to ruin my vacation and take control of the reservation, but they were also planning to leave me with all the debt and then dispute the charges to avoid paying anything. "Are you sure about what you heard?" "Completely." After the call, Dad went to where Uncle Raphael and the aunts were. I saw them talking quietly, but I caught when Dad said, "It's already in process. It should be resolved by tomorrow." Tomorrow, they had it all planned. They probably thought they could enjoy all the hotel services until the last day, and then initiate the charge dispute, leaving me not only humiliated but also bankrupt. I stood up and walked to the balcony. The ocean was still there, beautiful and indifferent to human dramas. The waves came and went with the same constancy as always. But something had changed in me since yesterday. It was no longer just disappointment or sadness I felt. It was something colder, more determined. "Mariana," I said without turning. "Do you trust me?" "Of course, Grandma." "Then I need you to do something for me. And it's very important that you don't tell anyone what I'm going to ask you. Whatever it is." I turned around and looked her straight in the eyes. "I want you to come to my room tonight after everyone is asleep. We're going to have a very important conversation about the future of this family." "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to teach them a lesson they'll never forget." The phone rang just then. It was a message from the official family group. "Mom, we're having lunch on the beach. We saved a spot for you if you want to join us." Lies. I knew perfectly well that they had planned to have lunch without me, but this time, instead of feeling hurt, I smiled. "Tell Dad, thanks a lot, but I have other plans." And I wasn't lying. Yes, I had other plans. Plans that were taking shape in my mind with a clarity that surprised me. That afternoon, while my family enjoyed the beach with the money I had paid, I made a few very important calls. First stop, my bank. Second stop, the hotel reception. Third stop, my lawyer. Because if my children thought they were going to play me, they were very wrong. The game had only just begun, and this time, I held all the cards. That afternoon, while my family had fun on the beach thinking they had found the perfect formula for a free vacation, I was in my room, executing my own plan. I had learned over 65 years that patience is the most powerful weapon a woman can have, especially when she is underestimated. My first call was to the bank. After navigating through a maze of automated options and waiting for 20 minutes, I finally managed to speak to a human representative. National Bank. Carmen speaking. "How can I help you?" "Good morning, Carmen. I'm Estela Morales. I need to report a possible attempt of fraud on my credit card." "Of course, Mrs. Morales. Can you provide your card number and date of birth to verify your identity?" After confirming my information, I explained the situation carefully, as someone who had thought out every word. "Carmen, I have reason to believe that someone in my family is going to try to dispute legitimate charges I made on my card, specifically a hotel reservation for $4,200 that I authorized and paid personally." "I understand your concern, Mrs. Morales. Do you have any evidence of this potential fraudulent dispute?" "Yes, I have all the reservation documents, payment confirmations, and witnesses who can confirm that I authorized all the expenses. Additionally, my granddaughter overheard my son talking on the phone today about disputing these charges." Carmen took note of everything and explained the procedure. "I'm going to add a protection note to your account, Mrs. Morales. If anyone attempts to dispute those charges, an automatic investigation will be triggered, requiring substantial evidence of actual fraud. In the meantime, the charges will remain valid until proven otherwise. I'll also email you a form so you can document everything related to this possible family fraud attempt." After hanging up with the bank, I felt like I had won the first battle of a war that was just beginning, but I needed more ammunition. My second call was to the hotel reception. "Good afternoon. May I speak with the manager, please?" 5 minutes later, a man with a kind voice introduced himself. "Mrs. Morales, I'm Miguel Hernandez, the hotel manager. The receptionist told me you wanted to speak with me." "Yes, Mr. Hernandez. I have a delicate family situation, and I need to make sure certain information is documented." I officially explained that I had paid the entire reservation as a surprise for my family, but that I had discovered they planned to dispute the charges fraudulently. "I completely understand, Mrs. Morales. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time we've seen these kinds of family situations. What would you like us to do?" "First, confirm in writing that I am the only holder of the reservation and that I paid everything voluntarily. Second, if anyone in my family tries to make changes without my presence, I want to be contacted immediately." "Of course, Mrs. Morales. I'll send an official letter confirming all the details of your reservation and payment." I'll also instruct all the reception staff about the situation. One more thing. Mr. Hernandez, would it be possible to schedule a meeting tomorrow morning? I think I may need to make some changes to the reservation. Of course, would 9 a.m. work for you? Perfect. My third call was the most important. I searched my notebook for the number of Mr. Joaquin Ramirez, the lawyer who had helped my husband with the will and had handled some minor family matters over the years. Ramirez Law Firm, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Is Mr. Joaquin available? This is Estela Morales. Ms. Estela, it's a pleasure to hear from you. Mr. Joaquin is in a consultation, but I can interrupt him if it's urgent. It's urgent. 3 minutes later, the familiar voice of Mr. Joaquin filled the phone. Estela, how are you? Everything okay? No, Joaquin, nothing is okay. I need urgent legal advice. I told him the whole story, the trip, the WhatsApp messages, the plan to dispute the charges, everything. Mr. Joaquin listened without interrupting, occasionally making sounds of disapproval. Estela, this is very serious. What your children are planning constitutes financial fraud and elder abuse. Elder abuse? Yes. Using deceit to obtain financial benefits from an elderly person is a federal crime. Also, disputing legitimate charges is banking fraud. What can I do? Several things. First, it's good that you've already contacted the bank. Second, I'll email you a document that I want you to sign and have notarized. It's an affidavit stating that you voluntarily paid all the expenses for the trip. Is there a notary at the hotel? Most large hotels have notarial services for guests. Ask the manager. What else can I do? Estela, I need to ask you something important. Do you want to take legal action against your children? The question hit me like a punch in the stomach. Legal action against Rafael and Diego, the children I had raised, the ones I had cared for when they were sick, for whom I had sacrificed so much. I don't know, Joaquin, I just want them to stop. I understand, but I want you to know you have options. You can sue them for fraud, you can change your will, you can take steps to protect your assets. Think about it. After hanging up with Mr. Joaquin, I sat in silence for several minutes. The sun was beginning to set, painting my room in golden hues. I could hear the happy voices of my family returning from the beach, laughing, talking about plans for dinner. At 6:30, someone knocked on my door. It was Rafael. Hi, Mom. How was your afternoon? Very productive, son. Productive. What did you do? Important calls. Paperwork, adult things. I saw his smile become a little forced. Mom, speaking of paperwork, Diego and I were thinking that maybe it would be easier if we handled some of the hotel details. You know, so you don't have to worry about it. There it was, the first official move of their plan. What kind of details? Well, the keys to the other rooms, for example, in case of an emergency and we need access. What kind of emergency would require you to have access to rooms that are not yours? Rafael seemed caught off guard by the direct question. I don't know, Mom. We just thought it would be more practical. Rafael, I'm 65, not 95. I can manage the room keys just fine. Of course, Mom. I didn't mean to say you couldn't. I just thought. What exactly did you think? I saw how he grew nervous, searching for the right words to manipulate the situation without sounding too obvious. Nothing, Mom. Forget it. Are you coming to dinner? Of course. It's my money that's paying for that dinner, right? The question took him by surprise. Your money. Whose else would it be, Rafael? No, of course, you're right. We'll split everything at the end of the trip, as we discussed. When exactly did we discuss that? Rafael fell silent for a moment, clearly confused by my change in attitude. Well, Mom, I thought it was obvious that we would split the expenses among everyone. Rafael, did I ever ask you if you wanted to split the expenses? No, but we agreed that this would be a shared expense. Mom, I don't understand why you're asking these questions. I stood up and walked toward the door. Let's go to dinner, son. I'm hungry. As we walked toward the elevator, I could feel his confusion. His plan required me to be predictable, manageable, to act as I always had. But I was no longer the same woman who had arrived at the hotel 2 days ago. During dinner, I observed my family with new eyes. I watched as each of them enjoyed the food I had paid for, the expensive drinks they ordered without thinking, the multiple desserts they ordered on a whim. I saw how they talked about the next day's plans, as if I wasn't there, as if my presence was optional. But I also saw something else. I saw Mariana watching me with worried eyes, understanding that something had changed in me. I saw my younger grandchildren genuinely enjoying the trip, unaware of the betrayals by the adults. And I realized something important. Not everyone at that table had betrayed me. That night, after everyone went to their rooms, Mariana came to see me as we had agreed. "Grandma, what's going on?" Dad looked very strange during dinner. He looked strange because his plan isn't going as expected. I told her about my calls from the day, the steps I had taken to protect myself, and the meeting I had scheduled with the hotel manager in the morning. "Are you going to cancel the trip?" she asked, her eyes wide open. "No, my dear, I'm going to do something much better." "What?" I smiled. And for the first time in days, it was a genuine smile, not forced. "I'm going to give them exactly what they deserve." By 5 a.m., I was already awake. Not because I had set an alarm, but because my body had developed the habit of waking up early during those months of selling pies. But this time, instead of feeling the familiar weight of exhaustion and obligation, I felt strangely energized. Today was the day everything would change. I took my time with a calm shower, dressed in my best outfit, the navy blue suit I had bought for my husband's funeral but had never had the chance to wear on an important occasion. Then I headed down to the restaurant. It was 6:30 a.m. and the place was almost empty. Perfect. I needed some quiet to review my notes one last time. As I sipped my coffee and went through the documents that Mr. Joaquin had emailed me during the night, I saw Miguel Hernandez, the hotel manager, walk in. He was a man in his 40s, elegant, with that warm professionalism that characterizes people who truly understand service. "Good morning, Ms. Morales," he greeted me. "How did you sleep?" "Very well, thank you. Could we move our meeting forward? There are a few things I'd like to discuss before my family wakes up." "Of course. Would you prefer we go to my office?" "Yes, that would be perfect." His office was elegant yet cozy, with a view of the hotel's garden. It had diplomas on the walls, photos of special events, and a coffee machine that he immediately offered me. "Ms. Morales, last night I reviewed your case with my legal team. We want to make sure we fully understand the situation." "Your legal team?" "Yes, cases like yours, although unfortunately not rare, require us to follow certain protocols to protect both the guest and the hotel." Miguel opened a folder on his desk. "Let me confirm. You paid the full $4,200 reservation with your own credit card, without coercion, as a surprise for your family. Is that correct?" "Completely correct." "And you have evidence that some members of your family plan to dispute these charges fraudulently?" "Yes. My granddaughter overheard my son coordinating with the bank." "I see. I have 2 documents here that I'd like you to review," he said. The first document was an official statement from the hotel confirming all the details of my reservation and payment. The second one was more interesting, an addendum to the contract that gave me exclusive authority over any aspect of the stay. "What does this exactly mean?" I asked, pointing to the second document. "It means that, as the person who paid and holder of the reservation, you have absolute control. You can decide who stays and who leaves. You can modify services, or even cancel specific rooms if you wish." I felt my pulse quicken. "I can cancel specific rooms?" "Absolutely. There are 5 suites reserved under your name. You can keep all 5. You can cancel 1, 2, 3, or even 4 of them if you wish. The people in those rooms would have to find alternative accommodation or leave the hotel." The idea began to take shape in my mind with crystal clear clarity. "Miguel, what's the checkout time?" "Normally, it's at 12 p.m., but we can be flexible depending on the circumstances. And if anyone needs to leave before that time, it's also possible. Are you considering making changes to the reservation?" I paused for a moment, looking out the window at the gardens, where the gardeners were already beginning their work. It was early, but the day promised to be beautiful, sunny, perfect for the beach. The kind of day my family had planned to fully enjoy at my expense. "Miguel, I want to make some changes, but I need them executed exactly as I'm going to explain." "Of course, I'm all ears." "I want to cancel 4 of the 5 suites." Miguel raised his eyebrows slightly but maintained his professional expression. "Which ones specifically?" I pulled out my notebook where I had written down the room numbers. Suites 301, 302, 304, and 305. I only want to keep 303, which is mine. Understood. And when would you like these cancellations to take effect? Today, but not immediately. I want you to block access to those rooms at 10 a.m. The key cards will stop working. Then at 11 a.m., I want hotel staff to go to those suites and inform the guests they need to vacate the rooms before noon due to changes in the reservation. Miguel took notes as I spoke, without judgment, completely professional. Is there any specific instruction I should give to the staff? Yes. They need to explain that the holder of the reservation, which is me, decided to modify the stay. That it's not the hotel's fault, but a personal decision by the person who paid for the reservation. And if they ask where they can find me to speak with me, they can tell them I'm available in Suite 303, but only if they come to speak civilly. If there are any shouting, threats, or disrespectful behavior toward the hotel staff, they have instructions to contact security. Miguel finished writing and looked at me with a mix of admiration and curiosity. Ms. Morales, may I ask what led you to make this decision? Miguel, do you have a family? Yes, a wife and 2 young children. Do you love them? Of course. Would you do anything for them? Without hesitation. And if they betrayed you? If you discovered they were using you, that they were ashamed of you, that they were planning to scam you? Miguel was silent for a moment. I think I understand. For 40 years, I raised my children. I fed them, clothed them, took care of them when they were sick. I worked to give them an education. I sacrificed my dreams for theirs. And now, when I thought we could finally enjoy time together as a family, I discover they see me as a useful tool to pay bills. I'm really sorry, Ms. Morales. Don't apologize, Miguel. This isn't sadness. This is liberation. I signed all the necessary documents, including the affidavit that Mr. Joaquin had prepared. Miguel called a hotel notary who arrived in 10 minutes to make everything official. One last thing, I said to Miguel. When we're done, could you arrange a taxi for 12:30? For how many people? Just for 2. My granddaughter Mariana and me. Are you going to the airport? No, we're going to another hotel, one where we can actually enjoy a vacation. Miguel smiled for the first time during the entire meeting. It will be my pleasure to assist you with that as well. When I returned to my room, it was 8:30. My family was surely already awake, planning another perfect day without including me, but this time things would be different. I sat on the balcony with a cup of fresh coffee I had ordered from room service and waited. At 9, I would receive the first message from Mariana with the secret group's conversations. At 10, the key cards would stop working. At 11, hotel staff would knock on their doors, and for the first time in my life, I would have full control. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Raphael. Mom, let's go have breakfast. Are you coming? I replied, thanks, but I have other plans for today. What plans? You'll see, son, you'll see. I looked at my watch. It was 9:05. In 5 minutes, the countdown would begin, the moment when my family would discover that they had severely underestimated the woman who had given them life. And I honestly couldn't wait to see their faces. At exactly 9 o'clock, my phone vibrated with the first message from Mariana. It was a screenshot from the secret group sent just minutes before. Perfect plan for today. Beach all morning, spa in the afternoon. The old lady will surely stay in her room like yesterday. Great. After lunch, we'll talk to reception to get control of the other rooms. Did you confirm with the bank, Diego? Yes. The dispute process should be ready this afternoon. By tomorrow, we won't have to worry about the expenses. Each message was further confirmation that I had made the right decision. There was no doubt, no guilt, no space for regrets. They had chosen this path. At 9:30, another message from Mariana. Grandma, everyone's at the pool. Dad just said that after lunch, he's going to reception to sort out the rooms. I also heard Aunt Monica say today is the last day they have to pretend everything is fine. The last day they had to pretend, as if being with me was an unbearable act that was finally coming to an end. I poured myself another cup of coffee and sat comfortably in the armchair by the balcony. From there, I could see the pool where my family was enjoying themselves. Raphael and Diego were in the water with some of the grandchildren. Monica and Anna were sipping cocktails under an umbrella, all laughing, relaxed, happy, making the most of the vacation I had paid for while planning to betray me. At 10:05, my phone rang. It was Miguel. Ms. Morales, the system is ready. In 2 minutes, the key cards for suites 301, 302, 304, and 305 will be deactivated. Perfect, Miguel. Your staff is fully prepared for what's coming. We have the security team on standby, and we've briefed the housekeeping staff on how to handle the situation with diplomacy, but firmness. Excellent. I'll see you in an hour. I looked at my watch, 9:58. At this moment, the key cards for my family had just become useless pieces of plastic. They wouldn't be able to enter their rooms, access their belongings, change clothes, or take a shower after the pool. I waited. Not much time passed. At 10:07, I saw Anna get up from her chair by the pool and walk toward the elevators. She was probably going to her room to get something. At 10:11, my phone vibrated with an urgent message from Mariana. Grandma, Mom is shouting at reception. She says her key card isn't working. 3 minutes later, another message. Now they're all there. Dad is really upset. The receptionist is explaining something, but I can't hear clearly from here. At 10:20, Raphael called me. His voice sounded tense, controlled, but I could detect the panic beneath it. Mom, there's a problem with the rooms. The cards aren't working. Could you come down to reception to help us sort this out? What kind of problem? We don't know. The receptionist says there's a change in the reservation, but that's impossible because no one has changed anything. How strange, I responded with the most innocent voice I could muster. Surely nothing's been changed. Of course not, Mom. Could you come? We need to resolve this quickly because the kids want to go back to the rooms. I'm a bit busy right now, son, but don't worry. I'm sure it'll be sorted out soon. Busy with what? Important things. I hung up before he could respond. At 10:45, Mariana sent me another message. Grandma, the hotel manager is talking to Dad and Uncle Raphael. They look really worried. Aunt Monica is arguing with a receptionist. At 10:58, my phone rang again. This time, it was Diego. Mom, we need you to come to reception now. There's a very serious misunderstanding, and only you can fix it. What kind of misunderstanding? The hotel says you canceled our rooms. That's ridiculous, right? Tell them it's a mistake. Why would it be ridiculous, Diego? What do you mean, why? There's no reason for you to cancel our rooms. There isn't. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Mom, what's going on? I'm sure Miguel explained it very well to you. Miguel, do you know the manager? Of course. We had a very productive meeting this morning. Another silence. When Diego spoke again, his voice had completely changed. Mom, you canceled our rooms. Yes. Why? Because I can. And I hung up. At 11 o'clock exactly. From my balcony, I saw the hotel staff walking toward the pool area. There were 3 people, Miguel, a woman who seemed to be from the guest services department, and a security guard dressed in plain clothes. I watched them approach my family, saw Miguel speak with Raphael while pointing toward the hotel. I saw the expressions of shock, confusion, and then anger on my children's and daughters-in-law's faces. I saw the grandchildren, who didn't understand what was happening, go up to their parents seeking explanations. At 11:05, someone knocked on my door loudly. It wasn't the polite knock of a social visit. It was urgent, desperate knocks. I opened the door, and there they were, Raphael, Diego, Monica, and Anna. Their faces were a collage of emotions, fury, confusion, panic, disbelief. Behind them, in the hallway, I could see some of my grandchildren waiting, beach bags in hand. What the hell is going on? Monica screamed before I could say a word. Good morning to you too, I replied calmly, stepping aside so they could come in. Don't give me any sarcasm, Monica continued. The hotel says you canceled our rooms. That's ridiculous. Why is it ridiculous? Because we're your family. Since when? Raphael stepped forward, trying to use his most conciliatory voice. Mom, clearly there's a misunderstanding. Let's go to reception and clear this up. There's no misunderstanding, Raphael. I canceled your rooms because you're no longer welcome on my trip. Your trip. Anna looked genuinely confused. I also thought that until I discovered that you no longer consider me family. Diego furrowed his brow. What are you talking about? I took out my phone and showed them the screenshots of the secret WhatsApp group that Mariana had sent me. I saw their faces crumble as they read their own messages. Raphael tried to find words. This is not what it seems, right? Then explain to me what free vacation without family drama means, Raphael. The silence in the room was deafening. The four of them looked at each other, searching for an explanation, an excuse, a way out of the hole they had dug for themselves. Mom, Diego finally spoke. I understand you're upset, but you can't leave us without rooms. The same kids you were going to distance from me by hiring a nanny? That was. And what about the bank, Diego? Did you start the charge dispute? Diego's face turned completely pale. How do you know? I know everything. I know about the WhatsApp group. I know about your plans to take control of the reservation from me. I know about the fraudulent dispute you were planning to make to the bank. I know it all. Monica sank into the armchair, covering her face with her hands. Anna looked like she was about to vomit. Raphael and Diego stood frozen in the middle of the room, like children caught stealing candy. Then I said, with a voice that sounded strangely calm, even to myself, here are your options. You can take your things, which the hotel staff has kindly packed for you. You can call a taxi, and you can go look for another hotel where you pay for your own vacation. And then what? Raphael asked in a trembling voice. Oh, nothing. That's your only option. You can't do this, screamed Monica, rising from the chair. We're your family, you can't abandon us. I looked directly into the eyes of the woman who, for years, had tolerated my advice with fake smiles, who had spoken behind my back, who had turned my son against me. Monica, I said with a calmness that surprised me. Who abandoned whom first? And in that moment, I saw in her eyes that she knew exactly what I was talking about. The war had ended before they even knew it had started. The silence following my question was devastating. I could hear the air conditioning running, the distant voices of other guests in the hallway, the soft sound of the waves reaching the beach. But in my room, the silence was so dense it seemed to have its own weight. Raphael was the first to try to recover. Mom, this is crazy. You can't be serious. Do you think I'm joking? But the kids, what will the grandchildren think? For the first time since this confrontation had started, I felt a pang in my chest. My grandchildren, the only innocents in all this betrayal. The grandchildren will think that their parents made some very poor decisions, and now they have to face the consequences. You're destroying this family. Anna screamed, tears running down her cheeks. No, Anna, this family destroyed itself when they decided I was an obstacle rather than a valuable member. Diego stepped toward me with his hands extended in a pleading gesture. Mom, please. I know we made mistakes, but we can fix it. We can talk now. Do you want to talk after months of planning this deception? It wasn't months, murmured Raphael. No, the WhatsApp group was created the same day you invited me on the trip, Raphael. The same day. I saw how he crumbled internally. There was no way to deny the evidence anymore. Okay, Monica said, rising with a look of fury that she no longer tried to hide. Do you want to be the martyr? Want to make your dramatic performance? Fine. But don't expect us to come running when you feel lonely again. Her words were designed to hurt me, to make me reconsider, to activate that part of me that had always been afraid of being alone. Monica, I said, walking toward her and opening the door. I'd rather be alone than be surrounded by people who despise me. We don't despise you. Diego exclaimed. No? Then explain to me what getting rid of the burden and the last day we have to pretend everything is fine means. Diego opened his mouth to respond, but no sound came out. At that moment, Mariana appeared at the door. She had been waiting in the hallway with the other grandchildren, but she looked clearly distressed. What's going on? She asked in a small voice. The kids don't understand why we have to leave. My heart broke a little more. This girl, my granddaughter who had shown me the messages, who had been my ally in this discovery. Now she too would have to leave. Mariana, I said softly. Come here. She approached, and I took her hands. My love, your parents and I have some very serious differences. They're going to have to leave the hotel. But why, Grandma? I looked at Diego, her father, wondering if he would finally have the courage to tell his own daughter the truth. Why? Diego said in a broken voice. Papa made some very big mistakes. Mariana looked at her father. Then she looked at me, and in her eyes, I saw an understanding that went beyond her 17 years. Does it have to do with the WhatsApp group? Everyone froze. Anna turned to her daughter with a look of panic. What do you know about that? I know everything, Mom. I know what they've been saying about Grandma. I know they never wanted her to come on the trip. I know they only used her to pay for everything. The silence that followed was different. It was no longer tense with denial. It was heavy with the shame of recognition. Anna tried to explain. Things aren't as simple as. Mariana pulled away from my hands and turned toward her parents. So, it's not true that you created a group without Grandma to make fun of her? It's not true that you planned to dispute the bank charges so you wouldn't have to pay anything? It's not true that you hired a nanny so we wouldn't have to spend time with her? Each question was like a slap. I watched as my sons and daughters-in-law physically shrank under the weight of the words from a teenager who had seen through their lies. You hurt the only person who's always been there for us, Mariana continued, tears in her eyes, but with a firm voice. Grandma sold her wedding ring to pay for this trip for us. Did you know that? She sold Grandpa's ring. Raphael collapsed into a chair, as if his legs could no longer hold him. You sold your ring? I needed the money for the deposit, Mom. Diego looked sick. We didn't know because you never asked. You assumed I had infinite money for your whims. Monica, who had been silent during Mariana's speech, finally spoke. Well, we're leaving, but this won't be left like this. That's a threat. It's a promise. You can't treat your family like this and expect there won't be consequences. Monica, I said, walking toward her until we were face to face. I didn't mistreat my family. My family mistreated me. What's happening now are the consequences of their actions, not mine. Raphael stood up from the chair. Mom, please, can we fix this? Can we? Can you, Raphael? Delete the messages you wrote. Cancel the fraudulent dispute you started. Return the respect you took from me. We can apologize. Do you apologize because I caught you or because you actually regret it? Raphael couldn't answer. Exactly. At that moment, Miguel gently knocked on the open door. Sorry to interrupt, Ms. Morales. The taxi is ready, and for the family, he glanced at my children. Their belongings are in the lobby. The hotel can help them find alternative accommodation if they need it. Thank you, Miguel. A taxi? Anna asked. Are you leaving too? Yes. Mariana and I are going to another hotel where we can truly enjoy the vacation I deserve. Mariana is going with you? Diego looked genuinely surprised. I looked at my granddaughter, who nodded firmly. Mariana is the only person in this family who treated me with respect and honesty. She's the only one who deserves to share this vacation with me. You can't take our daughter. Anna screamed. I'm not taking her. She's choosing to come with me. Mariana. Diego spoke directly to his daughter. You can't do this. We're your family. Papa. Mariana looked at him with a mix of love and disappointment. Grandma is also our family, and you betrayed her. I can't be part of that, she added. It's only for a few days, I said. Afterward, she can decide if she wants to come back with you or not. This is kidnapping, murmured Monica. No, I said firmly. This is justice. Raphael approached me one last time. Mom, if we leave like this, things will never be the same between us. Raphael, I placed my hand on his shoulder, and for a moment, I saw the boy he used to be before he became the man who chose to betray me. Things will never be the same. You took care of that. I took my suitcase, which I had packed that morning after my meeting with Miguel. Mariana already had hers ready. Where are you going? Diego asked, his voice defeated. To a place where I can be a grandmother without having to apologize for existing. We walked toward the door. In the hallway, the other grandchildren were waiting for us, confused and sad, not fully understanding what was happening, but knowing that something important had broken. I knelt in front of them. I love you all so much, I told them. And this is not your fault. Someday, when you're older, you'll understand why Grandma had to do this. Tomas, the 8-year-old, hugged me tightly. We're not going to build sandcastles anymore. One day, we'll build the most beautiful castles in the world, I promised him. When your parents remember how to treat the people who love them. Mariana and I walked to the elevator. When the doors closed, I could see my family in the hallway, my defeated children, my angry daughters-in-law, my confused grandchildren. In the lobby, Miguel was waiting for us with our taxi. "Ms. Morales," he said as the driver loaded our luggage. "It's been an honor meeting you. What you did today took a lot of courage." It wasn't courage, Miguel, it was survival. As the taxi pulled away from the hotel, I looked out the back window. I could see my family at the entrance with their bags, probably calling other hotels, looking for somewhere to stay. "Are you regretful, Grandma?" Mariana asked me. I thought about the question as we watched the landscape pass by. I thought about 40 years of motherhood, about sacrifices that were never acknowledged, about the love I had given without expecting anything in return. But in the end, I had hoped for at least basic respect. I didn't answer her right away. I regret taking so long to value myself. The taxi was heading toward a small boutique hotel on the coast, where I had made a reservation that morning, a place where a grandmother and her granddaughter could build sandcastles, enjoy peaceful dinners, and remember what it really meant to be family. For the first time in years, I felt free. And for the first time in my life, I had put my own needs first. It was terrifying and liberating at the same time, but mostly, it felt right. Yeah,